Welcome to the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi After the Show podcast. Become a subscriber. And you know what? Even though we're going to be on vacation, we're going to give you some of our favorite moments in the next couple of weeks. We'll be back, with live shows on July the 15th again. But anyway, we appreciate you being a podcast subscriber and listener. It's free if you haven't subscribed. You can do it on Apple Podcast or wherever else you get your podcast where you'd like to subscribe.
You'll even get some flashback podcast as well. It's Friday, so I want to read an email that we got. We like to dig in on Fridays to your comments, questions. We hear from so many of you, and we do read and see every note and message and email. This is something really beautiful based on, speaking of podcast, the one we did earlier this week called Murphy, Sam, and Alcohol. You guys were both so honest about your stories about why you quit drinking, how you deal with life without alcohol, on and on. And that's a really good one to go back and listen to if you want to. Michael sent this. Hello, Murphy, Sam, and Jodi. I just listened to your podcast about the listener who called in and discussed the cravings and asking questions about cravings of alcohol. I can say that I have been blessed so far with 33 years of sobriety.
Wow. Congrats.
I came to AA in December of 1990, and it worked for me. When it comes to discussing cravings, I'm very blessed to be able to say that the obsession to drink that has been lifted as a result of working the 12 steps. But that's how it works for me. It is very much a one day at a time program. And I believe it was said early on in the podcast that sometimes it's 1 minute at a time reprieve from alcohol. I wholeheartedly agree with that. There is a scientific explanation behind the cravings of alcohol, and it's pretty long and boring. However, for me, it's strictly about the desire to drink. I don't have that desire anymore. I'm repulsed by the smell of alcoholic drinks now.
Interesting.
And I have an absolutely wonderful relationship with the people who support me in the program and my family because of the obsession being lifted. My wife and I have been together for almost 15 years. It's a blessing for me to say that no one in my immediate family has ever seen me take a drink.
Wow, that's impressive.
That means that he got clean before he met her and got on with his life. There's some more here that's really, really good I want to share. From Michael's email. I want to thank all of you for your open discussion on your podcast, especially Murphy and Sam for being honest about your openness. I don't get any flashbacks from any songs, and that's where you were talking about rolling in the deep.
Adele, rolling in the deep. Yeah.
And I've only received a couple of tense moments from being in certain situations or locations. Many of the memories I have from my drinking days are very much a blur because I was what most consider a blackout drunk. Yeah. Most of the time when the bottle was opened, it was never closed again. It had to be empty before I would quit. That's honest, Michael. Yeah,
and that's the way that my dad was. And, it's interesting, Michael, thank you for sending that note, because if my dad were still alive today, this would be his 33rd year also, because he stopped drinking in October of 1990. But he was a blackout drunk. I mean, that's what he did.
It's like drinking to get that way. Or it just ended up that way.
He was drinking constantly. He would wake up in the morning. It was the first thing he would do. He had, glasses stashed everywhere. It had really, my dad, I don't know how my dad got out of it, but my dad really was my biggest inspiration and introduction, truly, 12-step and all that, before I even encountered any issues. I wasn't even drinking alcohol at that point, And, so, and it's just very different for everybody. We appreciate you sharing that.
There's some more I want to share, but it was funny that he talks about, the bottle would have to be empty before he would stop drinking. Not long after you quit drinking, Murphy, because for a long time after you stopped, we would go to dinner and I would not order anything.
I know.
I was sort of tiptoeing around you for a long time because we had to figure that out as a couple. It is your thing to manage and you do. It's not my thing to manage.
Which is what I've always said.
However, we are a unit in many ways, as much as we are individuals. And so that was a different thing. And couples have that to navigate when one quits drinking.
Oh, yeah. You didn't believe that I was going to quit, and rightfully so, in the beginning. It was like, I knew I had to earn that. That's why, Well,
not with me, with yourself.
Well, yes, with myself. But my point was, rightfully so, you knew, because you knew how I think. It would have been very easy for me to rationalize and say,
I'm just going to stop drinking
this is
hard
clearly
alcohol.
not a problem. Yeah.
Right.
So
I was very surprised when you said, I'm not going to drink anymore. I was very surprised to hear you say those words. Anyway, I brought it back up because I remember being at dinner once not long after you had quit, and I felt finally okay to order something myself, and I checked with you before I did. Like, is it going to bother you if I have like I don't know, a margarita probably? And you were like, no, it's okay. And then we finished our meal, and we were about to leave, and there was some left in the glass, and I just couldn't finish it. And you were like, see, I would have never left that. What you're doing there, and it's just that's eye-opening to me because I do. If I don't want any more of it, I'll leave it.
Yeah. That's impressive.
Well, no, it's not impressive.
It
it's
is
just
well,
notable
to me, that's impressive because it's not something that.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's education all around for everybody around you too.
Yeah. I mean, I would suck the liquor off the ice cubes. I wasn't leaving anything.
It's still funny though is Murphy since he had those wine classes and he is such a tequila aficionado or knows everything about the different kinds of tequila. It's like if somebody came up and started talking about it to you, you could just, and that would be like, whoa, I thought you didn't drink.
Like,
yeah, that's right. And more so with wine, the tequila, I mean, the problem is I would get too drunk to really understand what it was I was supposed to be learning about the tequila. I'm joking. But the wine classes, that was so much fun. And Jodi gave me those, and that was a good 10 years before I ran into any issues with anything. And I did learn a lot about that.
Yeah.
It's if I were to miss some things, I really did enjoy that, but I don't like miss it like I've got to have it.
Yeah.
Honestly, my substitute, it's not really even a substitute. It's just the different coffees. Jodi knows that. I love that. Different foods. There are plenty of different things. You can try varieties of everything. And so I just kind of shifted, that.
I want to finish Michael's email. This is beautiful. This is the last paragraph. Today, I like to say that I left my last drink sweating on a bar in St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands. My last drink was in the early morning hours of December 2nd, 1990, so I chose December 3rd as my first day of sobriety. I have been to AA before. However, I wasn't ready to quit. I could go on and on about how it helped me, and I'm willing to discuss with anybody who needs help. But you guys have a show to do, so I'll say this. Michael, you're so cute. Yeah. This is a podcast. We can go on. Yeah. If AA doesn't work for anyone listening, then please find something that does. There is plenty of help everywhere. And once alcohol goes away, dealing with life on life's terms can be extremely difficult from time to time. But I always like to remember that if I was in the same situation and was still drinking, it would only be 1,000 times worse for me. I love the show, and I feel that you are all almost like family. Thank you for letting me share this. Peace and blessings, Michael G.
That's a beautiful email to us, Michael.
Thank you for sharing it.
We really appreciate you taking the time to share that. And our podcast, we just do a little bit of everything, so we don't want this to become too heavy for any one person. But it really does mean a lot when you can connect people and share something that may actually help somebody, out in some different way. And especially with a struggle that's so personal, so different by person. Everybody's circumstances are different. You really never know what words actually could make a difference.
But it's a common
somebody.
Struggle. It's a common struggle. Like alcoholism is, I believe, in every American family. Maybe across the world. I don't know.
Well, I could picture what Michael was saying there when he left his last drink sweating on the bar, what he said, and that choice to move forward. I mean, all of that really kind of, it resonates,
Yeah.
And what he said about being repulsed about the smell, I'm not necessarily repulsed, but it's not a smell that appeals to me anymore.
Is it a bad association?
It used to be like if I smelled wine,
yeah,
ooh, that smells good. Or, I'd smell a vodka or, not a vodka, but, you smell a whiskey or something. It's like, oh, good, okay. Now it's just like, it doesn't repulse me, but it's just like it's not appealing.
It's an association, maybe?
Yeah, probably.
With your struggle.
Yeah.
It smells worse when it's actually on someone.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Somebody who's been drinking heavily.
Like I said, that doesn't look good. It doesn't smell good either.
Yeah.
And a smell that never bothered me was walking into a bar or, college or adult, whatever. And the times I've done it, sober, it's like that's a smell that really hits you. It's like, oh. And I used to live in these places.
Yeah. Again, thank you so much, Michael. It means the world that you would share this much with us.
Yes.
Keep it coming anytime. Email us at murphysamandjodi.com.
Missed any part of the show? Get it all on the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi podcast.